I never thought I'd be writing a story like this, but here I am. My name's Mike, and I've been with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years. We met in college, hit it off right away, and everyone thought we were the perfect couple. I was crazy about her, smart, funny, beautiful, and for a while I really believed we had something special. We talked about marriage, about a future together, and I honestly thought she was the one. Things weren't perfect, of course. She had her moments. She's a bit bitchy, always quick with a sarcastic remark, and sometimes she'd say things that made me wonder if she was hiding something. But I brushed it off as her personality. I mean, everyone has their flaws, right? I tried to be understanding. Then, about 6 months ago, things started to shift. I noticed little things. She started working late more often, claiming she had to finish a project or meet with clients. I didn't think much of it at first. I trusted her. But then I'd catch her lying about where she was going. She'd say she was at work, but I'd see her text someone or get a weird feeling. Still, I held back, thinking maybe I was overthinking it. My gut was telling me something was off, but I didn't want to believe it. I loved her. She'd get mad if I asked too many questions, call me paranoid, tell me I was imagining things. She'd say, "Stop being so insecure, Mike. I'm with you, aren't I?" That's what she'd say when I'd catch her in a lie. She'd always try to brush it off like she was the victim. But I could see the flicker of guilt behind her eyes sometimes. Then came the big incident. A few nights ago, I decided to stay home because I had a big day at work, and I wanted to surprise her with breakfast in bed. I was going to book us a little getaway the next weekend, something to get us away from all the stress. I had even packed my bag, ready to go the moment she woke up. But that night, I started feeling weird. I kept thinking about how she'd been acting lately, her secretive texts, that weird look she gave me just before she left for work. So I decided to check her phone. I know, big mistake, but I just couldn't shake the gut feeling anymore. I grabbed her phone while she was in the shower, and what I saw made my blood run cold. There were messages between her and someone named David, her coworker. They were talking about meeting up late after work, about finally doing what they'd been planning, and there was a picture of her sneaking out of some place in her hoodie, very clearly hiding something. My heart stopped. I saw enough to know she'd been lying to me all along. She was cheating. Not just some passing fling. This was full-blown, sneaking around behind my back, sex in the backseat, everything kind of cheating. I couldn't believe it. I was furious, shocked, devastated all at once. I kept staring at that phone, trying to process how she could do this to us right before our wedding, because we had set the date only a month away. I was supposed to be marrying her, and instead I found out she'd been lying and cheating for who knows how long. That's when everything changed. That's when I knew I had to confront her. I didn't want to believe it at first, but there it was, proof. In my hands, I was trembling with rage, heartbreak, and disbelief. I didn't sleep that night, just sat there, staring at her messages, trying to understand how someone I loved could do this. How she could lie about working late when she was sneaking out to meet her coworker, David. It felt like my whole world was crashing down, and I didn't know what to do next. The next morning, I knew I couldn't keep this to myself anymore. I couldn't pretend everything was normal when I had that evidence. I didn't even bother to wake her up first. I just sat there, phone in hand, feeling the weight of betrayal crush me. My mind was racing. Should I confront her immediately, or should I gather more proof to really hit her with everything? But deep down, I knew there was no more guessing, no more doubts. I had enough. She finally woke up around mid-morning, still groggy, yawning and stretching. I looked at her, feeling like I was seeing her for the first time, like this stranger who'd been lying to me for months. She looked at me with that sweet, innocent smile that she always had when she wanted something. I almost wanted to believe she was just stressed at work, that maybe she'd been overwhelmed, but I couldn't anymore, not after what I saw. I put the phone on the table and she finally noticed it. Her eyes darted to it and I saw her face drain of color. "What's that?" she asked, trying to sound casual. I looked her straight in the eyes, cold and unflinching. "It's your phone, Lisa. I think we need to talk." Her facade cracked and she started to stammer. "Mike, I don't know what you're talking about. This is just work stuff, bad timing maybe, you're overreacting." She was trying to brush it off, but I wasn't buying it. She looked nervous, guilty even, like a kid caught stealing cookies from the jar. I told her I knew about David. Her face twisted, her eyes narrowing. "That's none of your business," she snapped. You're reading into this too much. We're adults and I can have friends. But her voice was shaky and I could see her trying to hide her guilt behind that defensive tone. I pressed her harder. You've been lying about working late, about everything, and I found. Sneaking out of David's apartment last night, her own words, her own photos. How could you lie about that? How could you cheat on me right before our wedding? She looked like she'd been punched. Her mouth opened, but no words came out at first. Then she started crying, but not because she was sorry. It was that bitchy, manipulative cry like she was the victim. You don't understand, Mike, she said, voice trembling. David's just a friend. I was stressed, okay? I didn't mean for it to go anywhere. It meant nothing. It was a mistake, that's all. You're overthinking this. I couldn't believe her. I was furious. Not just angry, but boiling over with a mix of heartbreak and rage. I told her I couldn't do this anymore, that I was done with her lies, her betrayal. That I was sick of her sneaking around, lying about her stupid late nights, and then trying to gaslight me into believing I was paranoid. I left her crying there and I didn't look back. I spent the rest of the day trying to process what I'd just discovered. How someone I trusted, someone I was planning to marry, could do something so cruel. I felt like I'd been hit by a truck. Part of me wanted to storm into her office, confront David, tell everyone what kind of person she was. Part of me just wanted to scream and break everything. But I knew I had to hold it together, at least for now. That night I couldn't sleep. My mind kept circling back to that image of her sneaking out, her lying so effortlessly, like she didn't care how much she was hurting me. I kept asking myself, how long had this been going on? Did she ever really love me? Or was I just some guy she settled for until she found something better? The betrayal cut deep, and I knew I'd never look at her the same way again. The days that followed were a blur. I was stuck in this strange limbo. Part of me wanted to confront her again, demand answers, scream at her for what she did. The other part just felt numb, like my mind couldn't quite process the full weight of the betrayal. Every time I passed by her, I saw the fake smile she'd put on, that bitchy smirk that now made me want to vomit. She kept trying to spin her story, saying she was confused, that it was just a mistake, that she didn't mean for it to happen, but I knew better. I saw her sneaking out, I read the messages, and I knew she'd lied to me about her entire life for months. I started digging into her phone more. I wanted to see if there was anything else she was hiding, any other lies. And of course, I found more. Flirty texts with David, plans to meet up again, pictures of her lying in bed with her hair a mess, just like she was trying to pretend everything was innocent. It made me sick. She was out there lying to my face while I was planning our wedding. It felt like I'd been punched in the gut all over again. One night I finally lost it. I couldn't hold back the anger anymore. I called her from work, just a random call, pretending to be concerned about some project. She answered and I could hear her trying to sound normal, calm. That's when I told her I knew everything. I told her I saw her sneaking out, her messages, her lies. I told her I was done being a fool. The silence on the other end was deafening. Her reaction was typical. She started playing the victim, crying, saying she didn't mean to hurt me, that she was stressed, that she was just confused. She begged me not to end everything, said she'd stop seeing David, that she'd do anything to fix this. But I wasn't buying it. I had never felt so betrayed in my life, like I'd been kicked in the stomach and all my trust was shattered in an instant. The next day I sat her down again. I wanted real answers, no more lies, no more bullshit. She looked at me with those cold, bitchy eyes and told me she never loved me the way I thought she did. She said she married me because she felt pressured, that she'd always wanted to be free, to do what she wanted, and David gave her that thrill. That she'd been pretending for months, just waiting for the right moment to leave or see where it went. That was the moment everything changed. I realized I was just some guy she settled for, someone she convinced herself she could love, but deep down she'd been cheating on me with David the whole time. I stared at her, a mix of heartbreak and rage swirling inside me. I knew then I couldn't stay with her, not after what I'd found out. I told her to pack her things, that I wanted her gone that day. She argued, of course, calling me crazy, saying I was overreacting, but I didn't care anymore. I felt like I'd lost my sense of trust, my sense of self. I kept replaying everything, how she lied, how she betrayed me, how she sneaked out while I was planning our future. All the dreams I had for us, shattered by her greed and selfishness. Honestly, I felt like I was standing in a wreckage I couldn't escape from. It was the worst feeling I'd ever experienced, knowing the woman I loved was capable of such deception. After she finally packed her bags and left, I was left alone with my thoughts and the crushing reality of what had happened. I spent the first couple of days in a daze, oscillating between rage and sadness. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her sneaking out, that smug look she had, the way she lied so effortlessly. It was like a knife twisting in my gut, knowing I'd been so blind, so naive. I kept thinking about how she always played the victim, how she acted innocent even as she was screwing around behind my back. I started to piece together everything. The countless nights she'd said she was working late, the little secrets she kept hidden on her phone, the way she'd constantly check her phone when she thought I wasn't looking. It all made sense now. She'd been planning this for a while, hiding her relationship with David right under my nose. I couldn't believe I'd been so stupid, so trusting. But what hurt the most wasn't just the betrayal. It was the fact that she had lied about everything. Our wedding, her job, her feelings. She's always been bitchy, demanding, and manipulative when she didn't get her way, but I never thought she'd be capable of this level of deception. She's the woman I married, the woman I thought I knew. Turns out, I was just another fool she'd convinced to marry her while she was out screwing her coworker. I decided I needed to do something about it. I couldn't just sit there and let her walk all over me, not after everything. I started collecting evidence, screenshots of her texts, photos of her sneaking out, even the emails she'd sent David at work. I wanted to make sure I had everything documented in case I needed it later. The more I looked into it, the angrier I got. She'd been planning this for months, and I was just the idiot who got played. One night, I got a call from a friend I'd told some of this to, Mark, a buddy I trust. I told him everything, how she lied, how she cheated, how she'd been cold and bitchy for a while now. Mark told me I should think about going to a lawyer, about protecting myself legally, especially if she tried to come back and claim I was being unreasonable or crazy. I listened, but honestly, I just wanted to get through the day without breaking down. What really messed with my head was how typical she was being, playing the victim, crying, acting like I was overreacting. She called me, begging for another chance, saying she'd change, that she was sorry and that I was being too harsh. That just made my blood boil. She's always been good at twisting things, making herself look innocent when she's the one who's been screwing around. I told her to forget it, that I didn't want to hear her lies anymore. I was stuck in this whirlwind of emotions, anger, heartbreak, a deep sense of betrayal. I started questioning everything about our relationship, wondering if I ever truly knew her. Was she faking all those years? Did she ever love me? Or was I just some guy she settled for while she waited for her next thrill? The thought that I might have been just another pawn in her game made me sick. I realized I had to get out of this, that I couldn't keep pretending she was the girl I married. That's when I made the decision. She's gone for good. No more excuses, no more lies. I'm done being played. I know I'll never fully trust her again, and honestly, I don't want to. I've learned that sometimes the biggest betrayals come from the people you trust the most. I don't regret looking through her phone, even if it's ripped my heart apart. It's better to see the truth than keep living in a lie. I'm just trying to pick up the pieces now and figure out what's next. The aftermath hit me harder than I expected. I thought the initial shock would fade, but it only got worse. Every time I tried to sleep, I saw her sneaking out, her lies, that stupid, bitchy smirk she always put on when she thought she was getting away with something. I started to realize just how much I'd been blind, how she manipulated everyone around her, especially me. It wasn't just about the affair. It was about the years of her deception, her constant game of pretending everything was fine when she was planning her escape route. I threw myself into cleaning out the apartment, getting rid of her stuff, trying to reclaim some semblance of normalcy. It was a brutal process, tearing apart the life I thought we had. Every corner, every picture seemed to remind me of what I'd lost. I found myself asking, how did I not see it? How did I not notice all those little signs? The late nights, the secretive texts, the way she'd suddenly become colder and more bitchy over time. It was Like my intuition had been screaming at me, but I'd ignored it, caught up in the idea of us. The worst part wasn't even the betrayal, it was feeling so stupid for trusting her. I thought she was my partner, my future, someone I could rely on. Instead, she was out there, lying, sneaking around, screwing her coworker David, and pretending she was the victim when I finally caught her. That moment, the day I found out, was a wake-up call I'll never forget. It was the day I realized that some women are just manipulative, selfish, and incapable of real loyalty. I decided to cut all contact with her. No texts, no calls, no explanations. I told her she could go be with David or whoever she wanted. Honestly, I didn't care anymore. I just wanted to move on, to rebuild my life without her dragging me down with her lies. It wasn't easy. Every day was a battle with my own mind. I kept questioning if I'd made a mistake, if maybe I should have fought harder to save what we had. But deep down, I knew I couldn't fix this. She was too far gone, and I was better off without her. I also reached out to some friends, leaned on them for support. Mark especially kept reminding me that I deserved better, someone who wouldn't cheat, lie, or betray me like she did. That helped a lot. I realized that I had to stop blaming myself for her choices. It was her weakness, her selfishness that destroyed what we had. I started focusing on myself, getting back into shape, reconnecting with old friends, and trying to forget her. It's been a rough ride, but I'm slowly healing. Looking back, I see that there are lessons in all this. Trust is fragile, and sometimes people hide their true selves so well that you don't see it until it's too late. I've learned not to ignore those little gut feelings, even when they seem silly or paranoid. I've also learned that revenge isn't worth it. I don't want to stoop to her level. Instead, I want to move on, better and stronger. If there's one thing I want to tell anyone reading this who might be going through something similar, don't ignore the signs. Trust your instincts. And when you find out someone you love has been lying and cheating, cut them out. The pain hurts, but staying will only make it worse. You deserve someone honest, loyal, and real. This experience, ugly as it's been, has shown me what I won't accept from anyone moving forward. And that's a hard lesson, but one I'll carry with me forever. Now, looking back, I realize that the biggest lesson I've learned is that trust, once broken, is almost impossible to fully rebuild. I used to believe in second chances, in forgiveness, but some betrayals cut so deep that they leave scars you carry for the rest of your life. I'm not angry anymore. At least, not in the way I was when I first discovered everything. Instead, I feel a strange sense of relief, like I've shed a heavy burden I didn't even realize I was carrying. I've come to accept that some people are just fundamentally selfish. Lisa was one of those people. She's the kind of girl who manipulates, lies, and plays the victim all at once. She thought she could have her cake and eat it too, sneaking around, cheating, and then coming back like nothing had happened. But the truth is, I'm better off without her, more honest with myself now. I've learned to listen to my gut, to recognize the signs before they blow up in my face. This whole nightmare has also taught me to value myself more, to stop accepting less than I deserve. I'm not perfect, but I know I deserve loyalty and respect, and I'll never settle for anything less again. Trust me, it's a hard lesson, but sometimes heartbreak is the only way you learn who you really are. So I move forward now with a clearer mind and a tougher heart. I'm not angry at her anymore. I just pity her. She threw away something real for a fleeting thrill, and she's probably miserable now. As for me, I'm rebuilding my life piece by piece, and I know I'll be okay. Better even. Because the pain made me stronger, more aware, and more cautious about who I let into my life. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, I want you to know it gets better. It really does. The hurt doesn't just vanish overnight, but over time it dulls. You learn to stand up, brush yourself off, and keep moving. Because life's too short to waste on people who don't value you. I've learned that the hard way, but I won't forget it. And someday I hope you won't either.